Hello everyone, I'm Heather. This is the last part of my Great January project. This is going to take me up until the end of January, okay? It's last ditch effort time, okay? It's crunch time. I need to now finish the project, which is to read all 17 of the library books that have been in my house for thousands of years. They're changing the library rules back to have fees and due dates and stuff after the pandemic. It's over now. I need to get those library books back. I either read them or take them back. At the end of January, all of them are going back, whether I read them or not. I've been given my fair chance to read these books, and if I don't read them, that's it. They go back. So I, at the minute, have finished 6 of them, I think. Well, 8 of them. I just finished 2 more. I'll let you know now. Okay. So 8 of them I finished and 2 I'm in the middle of. Okay, so that's, even if I just finished those 2 that I'm working on now, that's 11 of the 17, and that's a good effort, that is, okay? That's not shabby. However, of the 6 or whatever that would be going back unread, loads of them I really, really want to read. So that would still be a tragedy. So we need to punch it up. We need to get in the zone and knock these out. I'm serious. It's crunch time. Okay, so the 2 that I've just finished, I finished them yesterday, and it's not a huge accomplishment because it's the 2 graphic novels that were in there. But I feel like it's a bit of an accomplishment because they're quite big graphic novels. Also, despite being a person that likes to read graphic novels and who can sort of read them quickly or whatever, everyone can, the graphic novels, I haven't been in the mood for that so much recently. I've been really into audiobooks, in that sort of mood. But the graphic novel mood, which usually strikes me at all hours of the day, it hasn't been there. So I'm glad that I finally found the vibe I was looking for doing these graphic novels. So first one is The Undertaking of Lily Chen by Danica Novgorodoff. This one, I think I'm gonna go with 3 stars. So it was good. It was enjoyable. I liked it. But I didn't love it. So the idea of it, I did love. The idea is it's based on this tradition in China that sort of had a bit of a reviving recently, which is terrifying, of this idea that when a man dies young, he goes off into sort of the afterlife without a wife. He doesn't have anyone to look after him. So when he's buried, he needs to be buried with his wife. But if he's unmarried, if he died too young or died without a wife, his family need to find him a wife. So a sort of corpse bride, if you will, a sort of dead woman to spend eternity with him in his grave. So it's led to a bunch of sort of grave robbings and sort of morgue robbings and hospital robbings and sort of this weird black market trade in dead bodies of women. But also, even more frighteningly, it's led to murders as well. If you can't find a body, you have to make one, like that. So this guy is at the beginning, something happens with his brother, and you know that it's his brother, but you don't know what it is exactly that's happened. You just know that he's killed his brother. So he goes home and he talks to his parents, and his parents are furious because he's clearly not the most loved brother. The brother that he's killed was the most loved brother. So the mother's like, you better fix this by getting him a wife for his grave, okay? You've killed him, it's over now, but don't you dare let him go off into the afterlife without a wife. And he's like, fine, I can do this for you. I'll get, I'll atone for this. I'll get him a wife. So he pays this really dodgy black market guy to help him find a corpse. But instead of finding a proper corpse, he finds a live woman named Lily Chen, who is a sort of poor farm daughter, who wants nothing but to leave her poor farm and live in Beijing. So she thinks that she's sort of running off with this guy. She's like, ooh, I'm going to follow this guy to Beijing. We're going to be together. I'm going to live the high life. Everyone in Beijing is so rich. They're not poor like us farmers, whatever. And he basically is looking for a dead woman. So she may be that. But I really like the art in it. Like, what is this? Oh, my kid's doing that. I really like the art in it. Like, it's adult art, mine. Like, there's like a sort of bit of a sex sort of scene, like a cartoon sex scene, but still sex. So it's not for kids. But the art of it I really like. I like that it's like watercolor art. I quite like to do watercolors myself, like badly, obviously not as good as this. But I like the techniques that they've used to sort of do it. And the guy that's sort of going around with Lily Chen sort of looking for a body, he's haunted by his brother. And the way that they've sort of illustrated, the way that the authors illustrated the haunting is really cool. Like, he's sort of followed in random points by a sort of face in the sky, you know, so he's sort of wandering around just sort of doing his normal life or whatever, and then this sort of face appears sort of behind him, like he's being haunted by his guilt of having done this, or like his like family's pushing and pushing and pushing for him to find this guy a wife, even though he 100% doesn't want to do that, you know. So I did love it. I do really like it, but with the ending was really predictable, and also it sort of lagged a bit in places. So I'm gonna go with 3 stars on that one. Okay, next one is Quiet Girl in a Noisy World, an introvert story by Debbie Tung. Doris at Aldi Books read this one and said it was really good, and I agree. I'm gonna go with 4 stars on this one. So it's black and white, this one, which isn't my favorite. I prefer sort of colorful ones. However, the style of the art and everything is my jam. It's sort of my favorite kind of thing, where it's simple-ish, like not a lot of boxes on one page, and focuses sort of on people and faces, you know, sort of like that. So I really liked the art in it, and also the story itself. Clearly, as an introvert myself, the message of this book resonates. It's a hard relates. I think the author of this book is probably more introverted than me. Like, she's got she was like in grad school, she's got like this higher degree or whatever, and she talks a lot about her ability to focus for long periods of time and like get a lot of work done, and then how hard it is for her to sort of like join in at parties and stuff like that. I think for me personally, I'm less of both of those things. Like, my concentration, my ability to study for ages and ages is less, but also my like difficulty in joining in a party or whatever like isn't as bad, I think. But the idea is still there, and I think this is like a call to introverts to sort of be like, yes, you're socially awkward, yes, you're super weird and people find you uncomfortable to be around sometimes, but it's just who you are, friend. It's like half of the population, okay? When you're one of 50% of the world who's awkward at parties, are you really awkward at parties, or are you just normal at parties, and some people are normal in a different way at parties, which is less awkward, you know? Like, it's like a call to introverts to just calm down, stop killing yourself internally about being like a bit like you need to be on your own for a second just to calm down, or like a bit sort of not knowing what to say in small talk situations, because who even knows what to say like at the school gate or whatever. Like, stop murdering yourself internally for that. It's just who you are, and it's who half of the people of the world are. Just chill out. Like, as well, there's this bit about like using up social energy, like exerting your energy in social situations, and then recharging it on your own. And this is a big thing, I think, with introverts and extroverts. Like, when I tell people I'm an introvert, like, I might sort of like be in a club dancing and chatting with people and be like, I'm an introvert, and they're like, you're not an introvert. Like, I think people don't really understand that that's what it means to be an introvert. Like, it doesn't mean that you don't like to hang out with people. It just means that it's like how you gain or get rid of energy, you know, how you gain or spend energy. So gain energy on my own, and then when it's at 100%, I use it up to like have loads of fun and like hang out with people and dance and whatever, and then once it's down, I need to recharge it, and then I can do it again. And I think extroverts are the opposite. Do you know what I mean? Like, on their own in the house, like pandemic or whatever, my extrovert friends were dying because they were just always exhausted on their own at home. That's how they expend, or that's how they use up energy, and they gain energy in the company of other people. Like, I did actually have like an actual tearful meltdown at work a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, or whatever. Like, I wouldn't say I cry at work a lot. Like, I feel like I'm a person who feels comfortable crying at work, and feels comfortable that the people around me also understand that sometimes you need to cry at work. this sounds bad. I wouldn't say I cry a lot at work, but I did have like a bit of like roughly a 90-second cry at work a week ago or 2 weeks ago or something. I went away for the weekend to London with friends, which was banging. It was a banging time. We saw this like ABBA Voyage thing. It was amazing. I would 100% do it again. But as an introvert, it uses up energy, right? So I'm not just like, so we did drinking as well. So I'm not just hungover a bit from the drinking, okay? Like I had a day to recover. It's not really that. It's more a social hangover, which in this book she talks about and hits it right on the head. Like you use up so much of your social energy that you've been storing away that it actually gives you physical symptoms like a headache and like exhaustion and sort of lethargy and stuff like that. So I went in on the Monday, and my friend in work was supposed to do this thing that we do, like sometimes we do interviews for students for like the MBA or whatever. We're sort of interviewing people to sort of judge their suitability for a program and if we're going to admit them onto the program or not. And that is a job that's fine. It's not a horrendous job. It's a lovely job. You meet lots of really lovely people. But it's something that takes up quite a lot of social energy as well, because you're on screen, you're on Zoom for like a good 3, 4, 5 hours in a row, just a new person every 15-20 minutes, something like that. And when the students aren't on, you're discussing with colleagues like, you know, their suitability for a program or whatever. It requires a lot of social energy. So my friend at work was supposed to do that. That was her day to do that. We only need one person in the office to do it. And then something happened. She wasn't able to do it last minute. I had to do it. I just thought, I'm depleted. There's nothing left. I've social hangover. My head is banging. I've had too much social stuff in the weekend. I haven't had enough time to regenerate that. And now I have to do one of the most socially engaging jobs that is on our docket to do. And I just had a meltdown. I just lost myself for like roughly 90 seconds. 90 seconds. Like I think I did sort of pull it out of the bag in the end and sort of do okay on the interviews, but it wasn't my best self. It wasn't my best job. Me sort of just desperately trying to pull up the dregs of my energy to get through it. But if any of that resonates with you, if any of that's relatable, I would say 100% read this book. I think I went with 4 stars in the end instead of 5, simply because there's no color. And I know that's a stupid reason to downmark a book, but I like a bit of color. Also, it made me feel really good about myself. It like makes you feel like all the things that you judge yourself for hardest, you know, you sort of come home at like 2 a.m. and like just laying in your bed trying to sleep, thinking about all of like the shit about yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, why am I so shit at that? Why can't I be better at this? Like, you know, it's not just you. Like, don't beat yourself up about things like this, because so many other people have the same issue. The books that I'm in the middle of at the minute, so I finished those ones. 8 done. 2 I'm working on. First one is The Wheel of Doll by Jonathan Ames. This one's about a dodgy but lovable PI in Los Angeles. He's got a case where a person has come to him looking for her mother. Her mother used to be homeless. The girl also used to be homeless. The girl is now married to a really dodgy millionaire and she wants to find her mother. This one's going slowly. I've been reading this one for ages. But not that I dislike it. It's just, I don't know. I haven't had it around to hand to sort of read, whereas I've had other ones to hand. It's a weird situation. Other one is an audiobook that I got from the library that expires in 5 days. So, like, the deadline on this one is pending. It is Run, Rose, Run by Dolly Parton and James Patterson. Fucking love Dolly Parton. I love her to... Also, she has made an album, like a singing album, like a song album that goes with this, and I've been listening to that on Spotify as well. Like the two of them together, the audiobook where she reads a bit of it actually, like she plays one of the characters in it, and the album. Like this has been my day for like last 2 or 3 days. I've just been immersed in this sort of life and I do not hate it. It is delightful, but I will let you know when I finish those.
When he came back into the living room less than 5 minutes later, he found Annie Lee asleep against the couch's armrest, surrounded by lyrics, crumpled papers, and crumbs from Arnold's Country Kitchen biscuits.
Mr. Hank, this is ridiculous. You cannot have the whole couch all the time. Can you move over? Can you move over there so that I can sit there? Can we share the sofa? Can I just sort of scooch in? Scooch in here? Is this gonna... Can I sit here? Yes? I don't really fit. Can I sit here? Can I get some more space?
Okay, I have finished Dolly Parton's Run Rose Run, right? And I think, despite fully enjoying that, okay, I'm going to say that was a fully enjoyable romp. I'm going to give that 3 stars. And I feel like nobody's going to be shocked by that. Like, the book wasn't great. The only reason I enjoyed it is just because I love the fuck out of Dolly Parton. And this book was basically one of her country songs in novel form. Like, this girl is like running from a sort of mysterious, dangerous, scary past, right? And she won't tell anyone what's happened to her. You get this idea that she's had like a really rough past and she's running from something, but that's really all you get. And she shows up in this like town, and she's looking to sort of like be a country singer. She's got a guitar, she sings really well, and she sort of like goes to this bar and she joins like open mic night or whatever, and she gets, you know, sort of some like airtime. Then these sort of people see her or whatever, and they find out that she's like amazing as a singer and also gorgeous, of course, because why not? And she's got this like air about her that's like feisty, you know, and like sort of magical, like she's just basically like got star quality or whatever. So this person who's basically Dolly Parton, it's read by Dolly Parton in the audiobook, even though it's called like Ruth Ann a Rider or whatever, and she's some sort of like mega star that's retired, like she's an older sort of mega star in the country world. So it's basically just like a fictionalized version of Dolly Parton herself. She sees her and she's like, oh, I'm gonna make you a star, blah blah blah, but she's also like, you know, wise and lovely, and like tries to walk her through her past and like gets her a bodyguard and sort of all this sort of stuff. And then it sort of progresses, like you find out why it is that she's running. There's a guy who like, you know, saves her. He has to go in. She's in a tough spot. He's got to save her, you know. And it's just basically a country song, the entire novel, which is stupid, but so amazing.
Like, I will always admit to being a huge country music fan. I'm not even ashamed. I'm not embarrassed, okay? I've always loved country music. My parents have always loved country music. Like, I grew up in a lot of places that were really pro country music, but also in a lot of places that weren't, okay? I'm not a farmer. Like, I think traditional gender roles are a trap. You know, I'm not a Christian or Republican or anything like that. But, like, there's just something about country music which is deeply comforting and amazing. And I feel like you're either into that kind of magic or you're not into that kind of magic. If you're into that kind of magic and you love Dolly Parton, this is a terrible book, but also I feel like you will love it. So you should read it. Okay. That being said, I'm moving on now to Nightcrawling. Here, hold on. This one, Nightcrawling by Leila Mottley. I'm only a couple pages in, so I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it gets dark. At the minute, it's cheerful, you know, like she's poor, she's got money issues, she's struggling to find a job, you know, her brother has some problems, her parents are dead. Okay, but, you know, she's cheerful. It's got like a cheerful-ish vibe to it, which I'm enjoying. But I think it does get really grim, but I can't remember exactly how. I'll let you know.
Okay, I have finished Wheel of Doll by Jonathan Ames. So this is the second one of this series. It's like the sequel to another one called Man Named Doll. And the first one I loved. One of the best books of the year. Absolutely loved it. 5 banging stars. This one, I'm just going to say 4 stars, which is still really good. I really enjoyed it. I just wouldn't rave about it like I raved about the other one. Also, 100% if there's ever like a 3rd and 4th one of this series with this same guy, this like doll guy, I will 100% read those. It's basically like this guy named Happy Doll, and like in the first book he calls himself Hank because he's ashamed of his name, but like in this second one he's found a bit of like Buddhist wisdom and clarity. And he's trying to sort of like do the middle way and sort of follow like a Buddhist lifestyle. He's been sort of studying Buddhism and stuff. But he's a private detective, and he's like a former Navy officer and former sort of PD cop. So he sort of gets in a bit of trouble with all these like random like investigations he does for other people, and he's got to sort of like whip out, you know, so whoop ass, you know, so it's hard for him to do this middle way sort of Buddhist thing. But with this one, the idea is a person contacts him, and she's the daughter of someone that this guy Doll used to know. And he was in love with her, but she tried to kill herself or something. She was a bit troubled, she was a bit of a druggie, and then she disappeared and he couldn't find her. So she's like sort of like the one that got away, and now her daughter has come to him to try to see if he can find her, because she has things she needs to tell her, whatever, and she's worried about her. She's like, she stopped contacting me, whatever. But he then has to sort of go searching for this woman, and he searches for her in like homeless camps and whatever, and he goes into Washington State, like Olympia or whatever, to find her. But we find out clearly that this daughter who wants to find her mother is not just like what it seems, you know, it's not straight like that. Like, there's a bit of money, there's some inheritance, there's some people who say they are who they aren't, you know, it's a bit of like mystery behind that, and there's a lot of sort of whoop ass going on. But like with him, what I really like about him is with those things like, say, James Bond or whatever, you've got this like assassin, and he's like a finely tuned instrument, you know, he makes no mistakes, he just like, you know, he knows exactly what to do. He's like, and then I did this because this is how you do it. Like, there's no element of like humanity in there, whereas with this guy, this PI guy, like, he's got skills and knowledge about the whoop ass, you know, but he also makes mistakes. He's like a human sort of guy, and he sort of like does a bit of drugs every once in a while, and this one he does like a load of drugs. Like, he gets beat up by these like homeless people because he's sort of like come into this camp or whatever. And then sort of to get himself back on his feet, he's got to do cocaine, but then he's sort of like doing too much cocaine, and then he's like sort of like having these moments when he's driving on the road, like he keeps sort of like zoning out, so he's got to like go to bed, but he can't go to bed because he's had too much cocaine, so he's got to like take something else, like, I don't know, like heroin or whatever, to sort of knock himself out. Anyway, like, and he sort of like, he'll do something, he'll like be really cocky, and he'll be like, and then I said that, and then he'll sort of like in his mind and sort of like the narrative be like, shouldn't have said that. I've just warned him that I know so-and-so, and, you know, if I wasn't on so many drugs, I probably would have like realized that I shouldn't have sort of said that. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the character. I would read another one definitely, but yeah, like, the first one was so good, and this one I'd say was just sort of good. Okay, so now moving on now to When the Reckoning Comes by LaTanya McQueen. This one is like the third one left now, or the fourth one left now. I think if I can just get through Nightcrawling, the one I'm reading on the side, and then also another one, I'll be good. But I have 4 days left. So we're coming up on a wall, on an ending time. Also, I have to go now to meet my husband and some friends to do some drinking, and then tomorrow I actually have like a funeral, which is really sad, but the guy whose funeral it is, he was a banging guy. He was so awesome. So I think we're just gonna get completely drunk just in his honor, and like, you know, like have his spirit with us while we get blasted. And then that just sort of leaves Sunday and Monday for the reading of the project. Can I do it? Okay, walking home from town with McDonald's, and
I feel like I need to tell you now before I forget. I finished Nightcrawling right before I went out, and it was brilliant. I'm gonna give that one 4 stars, I think. Wait, hold on. I feel like I need to look really sober and like aware to this part of town. So hold on, like especially because my friend's mate was like found dead here, sort of like close by here last week in full drag. Hold on. Okay, I believe I told you that I would update you about Nightcrawling when I got home from the pub. And I feel like it was never a surprise that I was 100% not going to do that. Like, I just basically stuffed McDonald's in my face and then went to bed with my clothes on. So, that's a shame. That's a shame. But I'm going to tell you now about Nightcrawling, okay? Really good. 4 stars. I don't know why I thought it was about a shooting. I think maybe, very unfortunately, I may have just mixed it up with the actual news, which is just grim as fuck. But I knew that this book was going to get grim, and I knew that something bad was going to happen, and this girl was going to have to sort it out. She's a young girl. She's like 17. I just didn't know how. So, I don't want to give you any spoilers, really, because I think what made it so good for me, potentially, is that I went into it so blind and having, like, no idea what it was going to be about. So, every time something happened, I was like, damn. You know, I just 100% didn't see it coming. But I'm going to do my best, okay? So, you've got Kia/Kira. She goes by both. She is in a situation. She lives in Oakland with her brother, who's a little bit older than her, a couple years older than her. She's 17. She's dropped out of high school because her parents, one is dead, the other one is in prison, kind of. It's like a kind of prison. And the brother thinks that he's going to be this great rap star because their uncle is some sort of rap star, but he's balls at rapping. He sucks. So he's not going anywhere fast. He refuses to get an actual job. So the whole sort of running of the apartment, like the rent and everything, and also the rent of this other kid's apartment, this like 9-year-old kid who's in their apartment block, is also down to her because his mother is some sort of addict or whatever, and she's fucked off. Like, she hasn't been home in months. So she's paying 2 rents, and she's desperately trying to get jobs, but she can't get jobs because she's a dropout and she's 17. People are like, are you 18? She's like, no. So she's fucked. So one day, in these dire straits, she accidentally discovers how easily she could potentially make the money she needs in sex work. So she sort of goes about doing that, right? She sort of makes that her sort of mini career for the moment until she turns 18 when she can get a real job, blah, blah, blah. However, in doing all this sex work, she falls into a group of, like, dirty cops who are, like, using her for, like, their sex work disgustingness. They're, like, corrupt. They're just, like, disgusting. They treat her like shit. And then things sort of spiral from there. I'm not going to tell you any more than that. I feel like that's enough to go on. But it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Like, it was grim as fuck, and it's a sort of theme, unfortunately, for this month. And my library books accidentally ended up just being so grim. But despite this sort of grim, like, subject matter and theme of the book, I wouldn't say the ending, like, I don't want to spoil the ending, obviously. But just to say, I don't think the ending is, like, the grimmest ending I've ever read before. Like, it's, like, it's like not hopeful. I don't want to say hopeful, but it's like the characters of the book are strong. They're not defeated, do you know what I mean? And they're not even, I don't know, defeated in spirit. They're sort of like, I don't know, there's sort of like a mildly sort of upbeat tone of the ending, if you know what I mean. So 4 stars anyway on that one. Also, today is Monday. So yesterday, Sunday, I just like chilled, like I went to yoga or whatever, and I did some stuff with this bud, and then basically just chilled the F out with an audiobook, which was Nightbooks. And it was brilliant. I finished that one as well. So this was also from the library. Like, I am getting through these library reads, friends. I am killing it, right? So this book was a 5 stars, Nightbooks, right? I saw the Netflix show. So there's like a movie on Netflix. It's based on the book. And Anna and I watched it because it's sort of for kids. Like, it's a bit scary, actually. I thought it was a bit scary, but my kid, just like a brick house, like, stuff does not faze her, like, with scary stuff. And we watched it and we loved it. So I was like, I should read the book. Like, it's come up on like audiobook on my library thing. And the book is really good as well. It's basically this kid, right? He writes scary stories. That's what he does. He loves scary stories, so he writes them. And he's on his way in the middle of the night because he's now ashamed. Like, something's happened, I won't tell you. It's made him ashamed to be someone who writes scary stories. So he's in the middle of the night. He's gonna go down to the furnace in his apartment block and he's gonna burn his like scary story books called his Nightbooks. But while that's happening, he's sort of going through a hallway he's never seen before, and he hears his favorite movie playing. It's like Dawn of the Dead or something like this, like a famous horror movie. And he's like, oh my god, I love that movie, and it like draws him in and he just wants to watch the movie like that. But basically, it's like a fake, it's not real. It's just this witch and her magic apartment using his favorite thing to like draw him in and trap him, like sort of like the witch in the candy house, you know, like the kids eat the candy and then she gets them and she eats them or whatever. So now this apartment and this witch have trapped him and make him write and read his own scary stories to like soothe the magic in the apartment. Like, there's something up with the apartment where it's like unsteady and like rumbles or whatever, and it can only be like put to sleep or soothed by this kid writing stories and like reading them. And there's also this other kid that's trapped there, and she does something that you don't learn about sort of till later, but she refuses to make friends with this kid. Like, this new kid's like, please can we be friends, please, like we need to escape, like let's work together. And she's like, no, we're not friends. And it turns out, like, she doesn't like to be friends with people because there used to be other kids in the apartment as well that she was friends with. They're not there anymore. Bad things have happened to them. Anyway, brilliant. It is, like, 4 kids, you know, it's, I think, middle grade or YA or something. But it was still really good. It was still quite scary. I kind of enjoyed it. It had, like, old school, like, scary fairy tales sort of, like, related to it as well. Which I really liked. Y'all, I think we just finished our first zines. So to recap, for January, you know, our goals, one of them was to launch a zining hobby. If we abandon this hobby sometime this year, that's fine. That's just my MO, that's what I do. But I at least wanted to sort of give it a go, see if I liked it, and it's brilliant! I mean, like, our zines are brilliant. Our zines are just sort of basic, they're our first ones, but we sort of done them simple, right? I sort of wanted to, like, there's so many different things you can zine about. Like, I've got this like sort of like thing here, and this was just not about like all these different things to zine about, you know what I mean? And like all the different ways to zine, all the different like elements. You can do it digitally, you can do it like with stamps, with, you know, drawings, black and white, with color, with pictures you cut out, blah blah. Like, it can be about anything, you know, your life or thoughts you add, or like a manifesto, or just like history or geography of an area, blah blah. It can just be about so many different things. And like, I didn't want to get stuck on the unfathomable options, you know, and sort of like dredge down into the details and never actually get it done. So I sort of forced us for our first, like, my nan went, Amma did one with my help, and then I did one. Like, with our first ones, I sort of forced us to be really simple with it, you know, like just sort of one picture digitally. Like, we sort of took the picture and then uploaded it, sort of a digital version that can be printed out, one picture per sort of square, and then sort of just easy words typed there, and then like just establish that as our first sort of business, master that sort of part of the medium, and then move on to more creative things after that. But with that sort of simplicity in mind, we've done it. Spud did a Greyhound one, and I did one about sort of like night thoughts. Do you know what I mean? Like random shit you think at 2 a.m. So they are now in digital form. I'm going to print them out at work, obvs, because like I'm not paying for that to be done properly, and my printer at home is really shite. And then I'll show you once I've printed it. I go to the office tomorrow, I think. It is the last day of January. Ah, we've made it. We've made it, friends. It is the end of January. We have survived. Holy shit. I hate January. Every year I hate it. It's disgusting as a month. I'm so glad it's over. I got paid today, so I can start, you know, buying food again. Oh my god. Also, we did not do badly in our January goals. shall we recap? So this is the library books, okay? These are the ones I finished, and most of them were like 4 stars-ish at least, which is really good. They were all really grim, basically, which is a thing I didn't really think about properly. Don't read grim books in January, you idiot. But other than that, I really enjoyed them. Also, I'm in the middle of 2 other ones, which are both sort of grim-ish, but delightful. I will let you know how these ones go. I'm not taking these back, because I'm in the middle of them, okay? If it's cheating, that's fine. It's my game, my rules. Okay, I'll let you know how these ones go. I'm enjoying them so far. I'm also in the middle of an audiobook, Book Lovers. I'll let you know how that goes. I really like that one too. The audiobooks I got through, like there were a bunch of like library audiobooks included in all of this. I think in total it was something like 20 books I needed to get through for this month, like audiobooks and physical books. And I think I got through like 15 of them. So we are not doing bad, friends. Unfortunately, there are ones that now need to go back to the library without being read. And some of them I did really want to read, so I'm really pissed off about it. But it was going to take a miracle to get through all of them, wasn't it? And I think 15 out of 20 ain't bad. So the ones of physical books that are going back are... So we got these 2. This one's in Welsh and this one's about Wales. So I think I might actually check these out. Like, these don't have backlog holds. So I think I might just sort of get them again for Dewi-thon in March when I read sort of Welsh stuff. And then also this one, which, let's be honest, is massive. Was I going to get to that one? I was starting with the smallest ones and working up, so it was at the back of the line. This is like loads of holds and backlogs or whatever. It's got like 40 holds behind me. So I'm never going to get this again from the library. But I saw on Libby there's an audiobook coming next month. So like, even though it's not even out yet, there's like a gazillion holds on it. But I've put that on hold. So when I get that, I think I'll just go that route, do the audiobook from the library instead of like the actual book. Also, 2 audiobooks I didn't get to. It's like Amari, which I really want to do. And it doesn't expire, I think, until a couple days from now. So I might still try to get to it. Also, Broken Girls. That one also doesn't expire for a couple days, so I'll see if I can get to that one still, but I sort of doubt it. And on the other goals front, bicycle, fixed, boom, yoga. I've been doing that every week, except for 1 week where I went to London. I couldn't be here, so that counts. And zines, which we've done. We finished our first 2 zines, me and Anwan. I'm going to go to work now. I'm late for work. I will go to work now via the coffee shop because, like, in for a penny, in for a pound. If you're late, you're late. Doesn't matter by how much. And then I will print them off and I will show you them, okay? Go! Are you ready to see the zines? They're so good. Okay, are you ready? First one is Anwen's. Look. And we did it! And we folded it like this way. We did it! Oh my god, and it's so brilliant. It's so cool. Oh my god. Okay, and then also we did another one. Like in a different way with like a sort of staple situation. Oh my god! Like, you know, something like this. Oh my god. This is the coolest hobby. Basically, I'm 100% in love with it, and I just want to make so many zines. I have so many ideas, like a sort of like one about Cardiff, and like cool ass places to go in Cardiff, and like history stuff, and like doodle ones, just like a whole zine just about random margin doodles. Oh my god, my mind is going wild. Bert, okay, story time. Can we talk about the gift that you have given me just randomly in a vlogmas, just like shut out the end, you know, like as an afterthought, like, or you could do zines. Oh my god, you're brilliant. Oh, this is the greatest time. I have no idea what we're gonna do with them from here on out. Like, if we're gonna try to sell them, like maybe I'll make like an Etsy shop. I feel like we need a bigger repertoire, first of all. You know, like maybe like 3 or 4 that we can like do, first of all, before we start it. If I could start like an Etsy or something. I don't know. Should we even sell them? Should we just give them away, first of all? Like for shits and giggles, you know, and then see where it goes from there?
I could like ask in like the zine shop in Canton if like, I don't know, we could put them there. I don't know, like I printed off a couple. Sort of thinking, what are we gonna do with them? Like, should I have a couple? I also tried one out in like black and white, just as sort of like a cheaper option, just in case. And I don't hate it. I think it looks pretty good anyway. Anyway. Okay, that is the end of this vlog. I am sorry it has gone on for so long, but I finished a lot of books, so I feel like that's why it's so long, because I was doing a lot of book talking and also zine talking. Much zine talking. Okay, if you have any thoughts for me at all, anything to say, please let me know. Your thoughts about the books, your thoughts about the project, your thoughts about the zines. Lay it on me, and I'll see you maybe next week. We'll do like a wrap-up, maybe chat of the books that I'm in the middle of reading now that I haven't finished yet. Maybe we'll do like a lunch break book chat. Okay, see you next week. Ugh.